Here's my picks for UFC 273, Volkanovski versus Zombie. Let's get into it by starting it off with Garry versus Darian Weeks. Yeah. Garry, he's taller, he's longer, he's a better striker. He's actually like pretty fast for his size. I think he's gonna have the speed advantage against Darian Weeks, and he's just a better fighter in my opinion. He's really good fighting on the back foot, moving around, and Darian Weeks is that pressure fighter. And Garry has fought someone like him before in his UFC debut, even though Garry did not look good, so it doesn't really make sense for me to say like Darian Weeks is a good matchup for him, even though we just saw him get his face, like his nose, bloodied up from a couple of punches from Jordan Williams. But Garry, he admitted that he was scared, and you could tell in when Bruce Buffer was introducing him, he looked nervous. So he's coming into this fight knowing that he is that UFC level fighter, and yeah, he's a really good fighter. I watched his regional fights, and he looked really good. So Garry, I think he's gonna take the fight to a decision, and I'm gonna go with the 30-27 decision for the McGregor wannabe Garry. Yeah. Next, I got Vince Pichel versus Mark Madsen. Mark Madsen is overrated, or not overrated. I don't think people overrate him. I see Tapology, majority, like 70% of people picking Mark Madsen. But Vince Pichel is a slight favorite on the betting odds for a reason. I mean, this fight is really close. I'm pretty sure it's dead even, actually. So it's even. Mark Madsen, his wrestling is not that good, and he gasses when he wrestles. That's the worst combination. That's a terrible skill set. There's a reason why he didn't wrestle Clay Guida. Clay Guida has really good wrestling, and Mark Madsen knew that if he was going to wrestle Clay Guida, he's not going to easily take him down and just control him and do whatever he wants with that Olympic level wrestling or grappling. But as we can see, Clay Guida has really good cardio, and Mark Madsen doesn't. He showed in his fight against Austin Hubbard. He gassed out badly, or not badly, but he did gas out in the last round, and it just shows that he gasses from wrestling. He's like, 37 years old? I know Vince Pichel is 39 years old. He's actually older, but he looked good in his past fights, and his wrestling defense looked really good. He dominated Jim Miller, and he has really good grappling. So I think he can match the level of grappling of Mark Madsen, because Mark Madsen's grappling is overrated, and it shows that in MMA, no matter what sport you do, even if you did wrestling, it changes. You can't really use the stuff you use in wrestling, in boxing, in Muay Thai, in kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, any other sport. You have to take a lot away from that and just take two techniques from each sport and just try to work with them or try to innovate stuff. So yeah, even though Mark Madsen's an Olympic level grappler, he's not that good at grappling in MMA. And Vince Pichel, I believe he has a better gas tank, and I think he's going to beat Mark Madsen. If Mark Madsen wants to strike with him, he's going to get outstruck probably every single round. So I'm going to go with the 30-27 decision. I could see a finish for Vince Pichel only if Mark Madsen tries to wrestle and tries to get Vince Pichel down and struggles for it. Because I think he could, but if he does, he knows he's going to gas. So I feel like it's going to be a repeat of Clay Guida, and this time he'll clearly lose. That fight could have went to Clay Guida. I don't know. I got to watch that back. But I got Vince Pichel 29-28 decision. Okay, I don't want to sleep heavy on Mark Madsen. So 29-28 decision for Vince Pichel. Okay, now onto my detailed picks. I know Rozenstruik and Tybura are not on the main card, which really makes me scratch my head. But let's get on to this detailed prediction against Rozenstruik versus Tybura. Rozenstruik is a really good counterpuncher, a really good kickboxer in the heavyweight division. 100% finish rate, so it shows that he does have that power in his kicks, in his hands. And yeah, he plays that counter-striking game, and Tybura is that guy who just comes forward every single time, but he does mix it up though. He mixes up the striking with the grappling. He'll clinch, break the clinch, and when he does break the clinch, he'll throw strikes. And he made the fight against Alexander Volkov really close. It was extremely close, and Volkov is an elite talent, but I think Rozenstruik is just way more faster than Volkov, and I feel like he's going to get that shot out and touch Tybura on the chin much more faster than Volkov can. I think he has better hand speed and probably more power. I think he does have more power, and because he doesn't have really long limbs for Tybura to just crowd Rozenstruik like how he did Volkov, I feel like Rozenstruik eventually is going to get the shot on Tybura. But in the first round, I think Tybura is going to just completely smother Rozenstruik. But in the second round, Rozenstruik is going to adjust and find that shot. So I got Rozenstruik, second round TKO. And Tybura does have a really good chance if Rozenstruik is unable to find that shot on Tybura. But with that style of Tybura, oh my god, I keep saying his name and like as different as fuck. Rozenstruik is gonna find that shot, and with Tybura's fighting style, it's gonna eventually open him up to a shot that Rozenstruik can find, and it plays right into his ballpark. So I got Rozenstruik, second round TKO. Yeah. Up next, Mackenzie Dern versus Tecia Torres, another top 10 matchup in this card. This fight could be interesting because even though Mackenzie Dern is on 1L, she still has all that hype behind her. The odds are actually really close, so I don't know how the hype has been going, but it's pretty clear that Mackenzie Dern is still a dog in this fight, and she could get the sub on Tecia Torres, obviously, because she has the jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is working real well in freaking women's MMA, which shows like, women's MMA is not there yet, but I don't know what the hell I'm talking about that. Let's talk about the fight. Tecia Torres, she's a really good fighter, she's only lost to elite fighters, I believe Rose Namajunas, Zhang Weili, Joanna, and Marina Rodriguez, all by decision, and she's on a 3-fight winning streak now. So I know her confidence must be high right now. She has a really good striking output. She likes to use those kicks. The thing is, Mackenzie Dern, one slip from Tecia Torres, and she goes on the ground, she might get subbed. So that kind of worries me when she throws those kicks out there. Tecia Torres does like to throw those kicks, but she has really good wrestling defense. And Mackenzie Dern, her striking and her wrestling is not there. It's actually pretty trash. So she's basically a one-dimensional fighter. And Tecia Torres, she can grapple more on the wrestling side, or she can strike. And I feel like she's going to outpoint Mackenzie Dern because Mackenzie Dern just can't. I don't know why jiu-jitsu fighters do this. They don't work on their wrestling. You need wrestling to get the fight to the ground, and you can't use your jiu-jitsu if you can't get the fight to the ground. So it doesn't really make sense. And Tecia Torres, I feel like she's just a bad stylistic matchup for Mackenzie Dern. So I'm going to go with Tecia Torres, 30-27 decision. There's a chance Mackenzie Dern can win, but I got Tecia Torres. I'm pretty confident in this one. Now on to the feature fight, Gilbert Burns versus Khamzat Chimaev. Will we see the hype deliver? Because this is the question that we've all been waiting for to see get answered. And this is the fight that almost everyone's going to be waiting for on this card, because even though the odds are really skewered, it's going to answer a lot of questions, because there are still questions about Khamzat Chimaev. Can he beat a top guy? And this top guy is number 2 in the world, is Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is a great fighter, great skill, earned his way to the top. He challenged for the belt and had a good first round. Actually, not a good first round because he laid on his back for 3 goddamn minutes. But it's not good. It's not good at all. But he was able to crack the champ, crack that chin of his, and I guess dropped him. Or he stunned him real bad, but he didn't really like drop him. But he did drop him and was just landing good shots on Usman, and Usman was getting rocked all over the place. But Usman came back with that championship composure, and Burns with that non-championship composure. He got cracked, and he just wasn't the same fighter anymore, and he gassed himself out. So that's the thing. Gilbert Burns is a great fighter. Khamzat Chimaev is a great fighter. I'm assuming he's a great fighter. But the thing about Gilbert Burns is that his chin and his composure is terrible. Well, not his chin is terrible, but he has a weak chin. He got knocked out by Dan Hooker, a lightweight. And the thing is, Gilbert Burns is small compared to Khamzat. Gilbert Burns is like a natural not lightweight, a natural welterweight. He's a really big lightweight. Like, he can make lightweight. But the thing is, Khamzat can't make lightweight. He's gonna die if he attempts to make 155. I know Gilbert Burns can make 155, but can't perform at that weight. But if Khamzat can't even make the damn weight, he's just so damn big. Look at him. He's like, honestly, he's like one of the top 3 like biggest welterweights I've ever seen in welterweight history. And I used to think Gilbert Burns was big, but Gilbert Burns is not that big. He looked small against Usman. Well, not small, but he didn't look like a big welterweight against Usman, and Usman is a pretty big welterweight. And even against Tyron Woodley, I thought Gilbert Burns looked big because he kind of looked as big as Tyron Woodley, but Tyron Woodley is a small welterweight, and I thought Woodley was big. But yeah, Burns is a good fighter. He has dangerous power. So if I see him winning, I don't see him with the jiu-jitsu. I see him with his power, because he has underrated power. He has lights out power, and he dropped the champ. So yeah, he has good power, great BJJ. But the thing about his BJJ is that BJJ does not work in MMA. You can only use like jiu-jitsu defense and the basics. But all these tournaments he's going to, it's not realistic at all, especially when you're fighting the smash style or smish style of Khamzat, because as soon as you bring punching or striking in grappling, it changes the dynamic of striking. Like, you can't replicate this except in Sambo, I believe, where you have strikes while grappling. It's basically MMA. So yeah, you can't really replicate that. And Khamzat Chimaev, he has a really good style of grappling. It's the best style of grappling, just smashing your opponent. God, I think he's going to smash Burns, to be honest. That's my pick. Khamzat Chimaev by first round TKO. Gilbert Burns' composure is really weak compared to Khamzat's, because Khamzat's mental strength, like when I see him talk in these interviews and stuff like that, he looks confident, but he doesn't look like, he's not delusional. Like, he's realistic with how he looks to himself. And so far in all of his fights, he like proved that he is that guy. Only absorbed 2 strikes, and man, look how, like, he's just much bigger than Burns. He has better composure than Burns, took less damage than Burns, younger than Burns, way more physical. Oh yeah, and Burns is like 35. Jesus. I know Burns is really good, but I'm gonna have to side with these odds. Man, this is a terrible matchup for Gilbert Burns, and I think Colby Covington beats Gilbert Burns too. It's mainly because of Burns' composure and his emotions. Because even before the fight against Kamaru Usman, he looked scared and like he looked really emotional. And Khamzat Looks like a damn beast. Like when you saw Usman and Burns stare down at each other, Usman looked like a damn freaking badass. Like he just didn't give a fuck. But Gilbert Burns looked hesitant. Like he wanted to intimidate Usman, but then wanted to touch gloves with Usman, want to stay friends with Usman. But Khamzat Chimaev looks like he wants to kill his opponent too, or he does want to kill his opponent. Same for Kamaru Usman during the fight. But Gilbert Burns, his composure is not that good, and he just reached the top. That's the thing about Gilbert Burns. He hasn't been in the top for long. I'm pretty sure he's only been at like Damian Maia was like top 5, I believe, or number 6 or number 7, and then his one top 5 win was against Tyron Woodley, and that's it. And Tyron Woodley was on the downfall, but it was still a great win for Gilbert Burns. But it doesn't look good now, and he's about to fight now. I'm talking about Gilbert Burns. He's about to fight now against Khamzat. So, yeah, Gilbert Burns. He hasn't been at the top for long. I mean, it doesn't make sense because I'm saying that Khamzat Chimaev has better composure than him, even though Khamzat Chimaev hasn't even reached the top. But you just look at him and you look how confident he is. When he fought Li Jingliang, number 11 in the world. And he was just, like, when he was walking, pacing side to side, like, trying to talk to him, like, it's like some gangster shit, man. Like, you look at other people, too, like Paddy Pimblett, Ian Garry, they're big favorites against these unranked guys. And they're really nervous. But Khamzat Chimaev is just, like, he's not scared at all. I mean, because this guy, I'm pretty sure where he grew up in the damn war zone, so he's not going to be scared of shit. And he trains with high-level fighters, too. I mean, Gilbert Burns does train with high-level fighters, but I feel like Khamzat Chimaev has been made to be a top fighter ever since he started. And just his style is just really good against Gilbert Burns. His mental strength is really good compared to Gilbert Burns. He's longer, bigger. I'll give Burns a slight speed advantage, but I think Khamzat's just too. He's just too much, man. He's too much of everything. I mean, technique, obviously, I'll give that to Burns, but everything else, you throw technique to the side. I mean, technique is a big part of like fighting, but the thing is, Gilbert Burns isn't that much technically better than Khamzat Chimaev. Like, on the feet, I'll say they're the same. But on the ground, I'll give it slightly to Burns, but that's BJJ, and that's just not going to work. So I got Khamzat Chimaev, first round TKO. And, yeah, I'm just going to have to disrespect Gilbert Burns because I think the odds are right, to be honest. I mean, if it was, like, minus 700 or minus 800, I'll be a little skeptical about that. Like, they should kind of bring it down a little bit, but I think where it is right now, I think at minus 500, I think that's where it should be. That's where it should be. Everything's against. Like, right now, all the odds are stacked against Gilbert Burns, in my opinion. I think Khamzat gets it. And, yeah, I can't wait to watch this one. Now, for the co-main event, Aljamain Sterling versus Piotr Yan for the unification bout in bantamweight. And, obviously, we know Piotr Yan is, like, the undisputed champion. And Sterling is the first ever disputed champion of the UFC. But Aljamain Sterling is still an elite bantamweight. He's still an elite bantamweight. He has a good sub game. Like, he goes for like unorthodox submissions, like the I think it's called the banana peel or something like that. I know Zabit does this too. They're on the back and they hook the leg, something like that. That I'm pretty sure he got a submission like that, Aljamain Sterling, and he has an unorthodox striking style and grappling style. His wrestling is not that good, so he's kind of like a Gilbert Burns, but with slightly better jiu-jitsu. I mean, not jiu-jitsu, wrestling. But Piotr Yan, we've already seen this fight before. Good takedown defense, and he has good trips of his own. But the thing is, I feel like Aljamain Sterling is going to learn from that last fight. And he did. There's no way he couldn't learn from that last fight. Because there were some mistakes Aljamain was making. And that was like overcommitting, and there's probably I'm pretty sure he had an excuse for why he gassed out, and there's probably a good reason why, and maybe it could really change how it looks, because from what I learned, when Moreno and Davison Figueiredo fought for the trilogy, in the rematch, Davison looked really off. Aljamain Sterling did not look off, but he did have an excuse, and something happened, blah, blah, blah. But he is able to learn from that fight, so I feel like he's going to come in with a better game plan and fix his mistake and probably keep his cardio up, conserve his energy more, or not conserve his energy more, manage his energy more efficiently. And if he does do that, he could win, because he was doing good in the first 3 rounds. Aljamain Sterling was doing good in the first 3 rounds. In the first round, he got dropped, but he ate that and came back and still had a high output against Piotr Yan. So I think everyone's saying that Yan's going to destroy this guy. I don't really see it, because, I understand, because Sterling was gassed. He looked like he was about to get finished in the 4th round or the 5th. But I feel like Sterling is just going to learn from this experience of their first fight. But Yan's still going to get it done. He already fought this guy before, so he should already have the adjustments in already. So he's going to know Aljamain Sterling's style, and he's probably going to start picking him apart way more faster than he did in the first fight, because he already fought this guy before. But I feel like Sterling, if he just fights a little bit more smarter, controls his pace a little bit more, he has a much higher chance. And I feel like it's going to go to a decision, because Aljamain Sterling is pretty tough, because I don't know how Piotr Yan did not manage to drop Aljamain Sterling in any of the later rounds, like the 4th or the 3rd. Because in the first, he dropped him, but in when Sterling was just gassed beyond belief, he couldn't drop him. But maybe it's because Sterling was just spamming takedowns and just smothering him, closing the range so he can't get any punching space. But yeah, I think Piotr Yan's going to get it done. 48-47 decision. That's what I'm going to go for. Sterling has a chance of winning this too. I think a lot of people are counting him out. He's the best dog on this card out of everyone, to be honest. So yeah, he is the highest. He's the best underdog to bet on if you're gonna bet on underdogs. Before I used to think Gilbert Burns had the best chance, but he probably has the worst chance now. And Aljamain Sterling is being slept on right now. He has good cardio. Like, he had a really high output against Pedro Munoz, and he outstruck him. Like, I know other people has started to outstrike him, Dominic Cruz, Jose Aldo, but Aljamain Sterling did that first. So, yeah, he kind of did it first. A better version of Pedro Munoz, more physically primed Pedro Munoz. So, dude, don't sleep on Aljamain Sterling. I don't know why I'm so out of breath, but damn. This fight's going to be good. I'm hoping this fight to be like fight of the night, something like that. And I feel like it could, because Sterling has a really high output. Yan is just a fun fighter. Both of these guys are fun fighters, so I think it's going to be a good fight if Sterling can keep that cardio up. And I feel like he's going to be more prepared with the cardio and not underestimate Piotr Yan's high guard game, because I feel like he was trying to get him out of there in the first round. He's throwing everything into those shots. Not everything into those shots, but he was throwing a lot of high energy. Like, he was using a lot of movement and stuff. So, yeah, I feel like it's going to be a good fight. 48-47 decision for Piotr Yan. Finally, on to the main event, Alexander Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie. The Korean Zombie is a great fighter, but he's 35 years old, and he's past his prime, and he's just not the Zombie anymore. He just got dominated from Brian Ortega. I still can't get that fight off my mind when I think of Korean Zombie. He looked good coming back when he came back. 3-fight win streak, knocked out Edgar, knocked out Moicano. Really good names. But he just got, dominated against Brian Ortega. What the? I don't know. It was so weird. He just didn't look like the zombie anymore. He looked. I don't know why he was fighting that way. I don't know. But his last win was against Dan Ige. Good fighter, but you're gonna have to be some great fighters to like make me consider that you're on the level of Volkanovski. Because the thing about Volkanovski is that he beat Max Holloway twice. That's literally the best win in the featherweight division, or probably Jose Aldo, honestly. But Max Holloway is obviously the number one contender, and Volkanovski beat him twice. And Max Holloway showed that every single other contender is not on the level of Max Holloway and Volkanovski. And Volkanovski and Max Holloway dominated Brian Ortega, and Brian Ortega dominated the Korean Zombie. So you can kind of see the food chain of the featherweight division. Max Holloway and Volkanovski, probably side by side, just munching on these contenders, eating them up, destroying them, clearly winning. You know, like, I don't know what Korean Zombie's gonna do. I mean, he does have a chance, obviously, but his style of fighting is gonna get his leg chewed up. And the Korean Zombie just isn't the zombie anymore. His chin isn't that good anymore. He doesn't look like he pushes the pace anymore or brings on forward pressure. Volkanovski is going to be the one doing that, and I'm pretty sure the Korean Zombie is going to be stationary, looking for his shots. And that's the thing, he could get it done, to be honest. He does have a chance of landing that uppercut. I mean, like, how he landed that uppercut on Bermudez, you know, he's short, probably the same height as Volkanovski, so maybe, and he even beat Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar is short too, like Volkanovski, so the Korean Zombie could find that uppercut on Volkanovski. Because the Korean Zombie, like, I know it sounds like I'm sleeping on him, but he does have good power. I'm going to have to admit that. Good power, and I think he can, you know, even though he lost to Brian Ortega and Volkanovski just battered Ortega, the Korean Zombie has better striking accuracy and form and technique in his punches than Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega is like an unorthodox striker, and ever since that one knockdown, Korean Zombie was changed because he was actually doing good. I don't know why I said he was getting dominated, but the Korean Zombie was doing good up until that knockdown that Ortega landed. And, I mean, it was all, like, fair game. It was, like, a legal shot. But, like, if Ortega didn't land that spinning elbow, would Korean Zombie still put on the pressure against... oh, my God. Now that I'm thinking about it, Korean Zombie could have been scared of that spinning elbow because the last time he did that, he got knocked out by Yair Rodriguez, and he was winning that fight entirely. And the same story happened in the Brian Ortega fight. He was winning the stand-up. He was outlanding Ortega, pressuring him, pushing him back, putting the pace on him. And then, boom, he rushes in, gets knocked down, and he stops pressuring. But the thing is, Volkanovski doesn't really throw those unorthodox techniques, so there's a possibility Korean Zombie is going to walk this guy down, but the leg kicks of Volkanovski is going to be there all day, and he's going to land it, and he's really good at calculating and just reading his opponents. But Korean Zombie could be patient, pressure Volkanovski, and just land that uppercut. But even though the Korean Zombie was looking good against Brian Ortega in the first round, he didn't really look that good, like that same Korean Zombie against Dan Ige. I mean, I guess he changed his style against Dan Ige or something. But, I don't know. And plus, he's training with Henry Cejudo, so that's going to help him a little bit more because Henry Cejudo is a really good coach. But I don't know what kind of game plan Korean Zombie is going to come out with. So, yeah, I'm really unsure on how Korean Zombie could win this. But if he fights like the usual Korean Zombie, he could find that knockout in the second round. I feel like it's going to take him a while to find that punch because eventually Alexander Volkanovski is going to blitz in, and maybe the Korean Zombie could find that punch, that uppercut I'm talking about, in the second round. But I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to beat him. At first, I was thinking Alexander Volkanovski could get the TKO, but the Korean Zombie is really tough, and he has good grappling to rely on or to fall on. So I can see him surviving to a decision, probably a 50-45, but I'm going to go with a 49-46. I can see Korean Zombie winning a round, because he could win this fight, but it's going to have to be by finish. But the odds are sleeping on Korean Zombie, to be honest. That's like way too wide. So yeah, the odds are going to have to put respect on Korean Zombie's name. And yeah, I can't wait for this fight. I don't know why I'm so out of breath. I think it's because I'm laying down. But yeah, that's all my picks, or my detailed picks. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk about the card a little bit. This card is good. Obviously, every single pay-per-view is good because there's just high level main event fights or high level main card fights. But this card isn't really like crazy. Like last year was like crazy. Like the card will be stacked from early prelim to the main event. Holy shit. Yeah, but this card isn't really that stacked. I'm like really confused. Like one of my biggest issue with this card though is Vince Pichel and Mark Madsen is on the damn main card. Doesn't make any sense. I do not know why Rozenstruik and Tybura is not on there. But I understand, kinda, because that fight could be boring, to be honest. Like, did you see Blades versus Rozenstruik? That shit was boring. Rozenstruik versus Gane, that shit was boring. But Rozenstruik can get a KO, though. That's the thing. Like, he knocked out Augusto Sakai easily. Like, it looked like he barely threw anything in that shot. So, Rozenstruik has that lights out power. I think he's going to win. But, Tybura, I was picking Tybura, like, in my mind, like, I was like, damn, I think Tybura is going to win. If I was, like, a bettor, I'd put money on it right now. But, fuck, now that the odds have closed, obviously, as a bettor, I wouldn't bet on Tybura because I'm not choosing him, but I think he's, like, an even now. The odds are even. But, yeah, this card is good. Garry, Aspen Lad. Fuck. I don't know if she's going to win. I might pick Aspen Lad. I don't know. I have all the picks on the screen right now, but this is before, like, I'm recording this before I do any of the stuff on the screen you see right now. So, yeah. This card is good. Anthony Hernandez, I'm going to go for that guy. Julio Arce, I hope I'm saying it right. I'm going for him. Alexei Olenek. I think I might be going with Alexei Olenek, hopefully. Because he's really good. Underrated. He actually, look at, his last fight was against Sergey Pavlovich. And it was a really close fight. But, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I've been out for so long. What do you mean? I don't know. I've been out for so long because I'm trying to, like, focus on my schooling and stuff. Like, holy shit. But, man, I'm going to start making more videos, bro. I got to stop slacking. Because I know I'm busy with school and stuff right now. But, like, there was times, like, on the weekend, I could have made a fucking video, bro. I'm so lazy. Goddamn, but, yeah, I'm looking at the card. Yeah, the card is good. I mean, I said that, like, fucking 5 times already, but it's not, like, it's probably going to be the worst pay-per-view, to be honest, so far in this year. Just because, like, you already know Alexander Volkanovski is going to win. He's literally a huge favorite. Even if I think, because I'm pretty sure I said that Volkanovski and the Korean Zombies odds should be a little closer. But I still think Volkanovski should be a heavy favorite. Sterling, Piotr Yan, we already saw that fight in the first place, so we kind of see it, the direction it's going to go to. But it's still going to be competitive, so I hope Sterling makes the adjustments and makes it a fun match. And he has to, because he has to defend his honor, defend his name, and defend his belt. Even though it's a paper belt, If he defends it against Piotr Yan, it turns into a real belt. That's how magical his belt will become, or it is when he defends his belt. So yeah, Gilbert Burns versus Hamza Chimaev. This fight is like real interesting because I just want to see what is the hype gonna deliver. But like you saw my odds, and you saw like the real life odds. Everyone's picking Hamzat Chimaev. And everyone else is like mid-ranked fighters fighting. Mark Madsen, oh my god. Mark Madsen and Vince Pichel. Fucking old guys in the lightweight division. I don't know how they're still doing it, and they have good records. 14-2, 11-0. Like, oh my god. If only these guys were younger. But yeah, it doesn't make sense why Mark Madsen's on the main card. I mean, I know he's like pretty popular. He's undefeated, and he probably has some hype behind him because he's undefeated. But these guys are not rising through the ranks at all. They're going to lose their next fight. Like, as soon as they step up in competition, they're going to lose. They should have put Ian Garry on the main card. But realistically, they should have put Rozenstruik and Tybura on the main card. Because if you have freaking Mackenzie Dern and Tisha Torres on there, like, what the hell? But I know Mackenzie Dern has, like, she's pretty popular. She's pretty popular. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's all I got to say about this card. The stackness rating I'll give it is, like, a... Name-wise, like, purely on names, it would be, like, an 8 out of 10. But because we're, like... Because of, like, the odds and, like, that we know who's going to win already. Like, it's not really close fights. I mean, I think Sterling and Yan could be a close fight. But we already know who's going to win. I'm going to give this card stackness or, like, hype level for me. Fuck, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. It bums me out that I already know who's going to win for the feature fight, co-main, and main event. But it's still going to be, like, fun to watch and interesting to see. So I'm not going to shit on this card. This card is going to be good. I'm going to be hyped as fuck. No matter what I say. I'm literally hyped for every single damn pay-per-view. I mean, even Fight Night 2. I mean, not, like, hype, but every single pay-per-view, like, my excitement is just spiked. And I literally can't wait to watch the fight. So, yeah. Every pay-per-view, they always deliver. This pay-per-view is still good, but it just sucks that we know who's going to win. So, yeah. That's all for the video, and the next video should be top 5 or top 10 featherweight GOATs. So yeah, check that out after.